Hickey and Boggs, ladies and gentlemen, for those who don't know, is a 1972 neo-noir crime film written by Walter Hill, directed by Robert Culp, and starring Culp alongside his I-Spy teammate, Bill Cosby. Plot: two weary, hard-luck private eyes, Al Hickey, Cosby, and Frank Boggs, Culp, are hired to find a missing woman. Their inquiries bring death to almost everyone around them.
None of this means anything.
Culminating in a violent conclusion. In this film that also stars Rosalind Cash, blink and you'll miss her, Isabel Sanford, along with Robert Mandan from Soap fame, Michael Moriarty from Law and Order fame, Vincent Gardenia,
Yes.
or Vincent Gardenia,
I'll say, because you said it with your chest when you said it.
from Moonstruck fame,
And Shop Ours.
James Woods
Yeah.
from Casino fame. And this cinema tour de force that was selected by Vincent for this stop on the mission. Vincenzo, what say you of Hickey and Boggs?
Well, this is a film I was not aware of at all until fairly recently, maybe, really less than 2 years.
How did it come across? You remember, like?
I don't even remember. I think you and I, as we do periodically, we're talking about Walter Hill. And I was just sort of poking around with Walter Hill. And as he mentioned, this is from a screenplay written by Walter Hill, actually his first screenplay.
Right.
And I am a big Walter Hill fan, whether we are talking about 48 Hours, whether we're talking about The Warriors, whether we're talking about Streets of Fire. I like his scripts. And as a script, this is a terse, lean script. Like, this is very much, like you said, the use of the word noir. Like, this is a terse, lean script, and these are all hard men. These are hard men throughout this film, speaking, to men that they have relationships that have been tested by battle and war. And this script sort of reflects that. As an early script, I think sometimes it's a little bit too terse. There were actually one or two plot points that I couldn't quite catch. And quite honestly, we'll talk about the acting. I do think the ease and chemistry between Robert Culp and Bill Cosby does some of the work that the script doesn't.
Yep, I'll give you that.
It's directed by Robert Culp. This is the only film he's ever directed. And I thought it was okay, with flashes of interesting things. Like he captures this early 1970s LA that is just run down. It is smoggy. It is dirty. It is grimy, and you get a real sense of place from Culp's direction. Culp also did some work in television, and I don't say this as a backhanded insult, but it did have the feel of an extended episode of one of these early 70s LA set procedurals that I love. Like, it's like this felt like a long episode of The Streets of San Francisco. Or Mannix. And as I've said, this is like catnip to me. like these old 70s, again, hard men, hard situations. We don't express our emotions that much, so on and so forth. Also, liked the way it looked enough that I looked up who the cinematographer was.
Okay.
Like, you know, when it comes to these technical aspects of these films, frankly, a lot of times I am from the school of thought of, if it doesn't distract me, I just it just sort of did its work. And if it distracts me, it either distracts me because it's bad enough that I have to say, damn, like, who did this? Or it's good enough that I say, wow, I like the way that this looks. And sure enough, I looked up the cinematographer, and it is a cinematographer that we have talked about before that I really like, Bill Butler, who was a cinematographer for, among other things, Jaws and The Conversation. So I just really like the way it looks. The story itself is very much it is a standard hard-boiled story. You know, Hickey and Boggs are two, you know, sort of downtrodden, threadbare private investigators who, through circumstance, get involved with trying to find a woman who is married to a bank robber who has committed a robbery at some point in the past, and there's $400,000 at stake that they're trying to move and fence, and or there's an organized crime involved because apparently they fronted the robbery, and the husband basically betrayed them and ran off with the money. The police get involved. So, you know, again, this is very much one of these, I'm a detective, I'm dog-eared, I'm, this, that, and the other, all forces are against me type of plot that, again, it takes a while to get to it. Like when the film is just under 2 hours, it is at the 45-minute mark where the script actually says this money is the result of a bank robbery. So depending on how much you can kind of flow with just vibes, that might be a little frustrating for people who kind of want the plot. I just said it. I think Robert Culp and Bill Cosby, obviously, who were the selling point for this film, who worked for years on I-Spy. And they were great on I-Spy. I-Spy was one of my early favorite rerun shows. And you think about them on I-Spy, God bless you. And they're like, super sexy, super handsome, super charismatic. Like you look at them, they're all angles. Yep. And they're
always put together.
Always put together, just pristine. And then, of course, historically, the selling point of I-Spy was you had this black man and this white man who were partners.
Equals.
This is not I-Spy Robert Culp and Bill Cosby. Like, they're a little older. Just chronologically. And again, they are threadbare. They are to a certain degree slovenly. Robert Culp's Boggs is basically a drunk. He has this amazingly toxic, fraught relationship with his ex-wife, who was a dancer, who he's trying to kind of put together. Bill Cosby's Hickey is brooding and angry. And he also has this fraught relationship with, I believe, his ex-wife. Because it was never clear to me, was this his ex-wife or his girlfriend? Wife played by Rosalind Cash. And they have this really volatile, crazy relationship. And it's jarring seeing these two actors together playing these roles. In a lot of ways, it reminded me of the Charlton Heston films that I love from this period, not just because they're science fiction films, but because you have this actor that sort of had this marquee sheen about them, but now it's the 70s.
Okay.
And they're kind of, again,
little
worn. And it is again, jarring. And the Bill Cosby thing, you and I were talking a bit last week when the episode was over. I am eternally fascinated by Bill Cosby's pre-Cosby Show career. Because obviously you think about Bill Cosby as a comedian, like certainly, he got on television because he had gotten the success because of his albums. But once he gets on television, like when you look project to project, he has this period where he kind of oscillates between comedy and not comedy. For every sort of Bill Cosby is telling some jokes. He's in a movie called Man and Boy. He's in this, which we're talking about, tonight. If you go back and look at episodes of the Bill Cosby Show, where he's Chet Kincaid, it's not ha ha, jokey joke, laugh laugh.
It almost plays like one of the, quote unquote comedies of today.
Right. Right. Like it's very low key.
Low key.
And then in this
is not comedy.
He does not tell any jokes. In fact, there's a moment an hour in where he finally has a nice moment with Rosalind Cash. And he's got this weird thing that he does with his face. And I said, what is he doing right now? And I said, oh, he's smiling.
Right.
Like it's the only time that he smiles.
The entire movie.
And the movie lets you know if something has made him smile, this situation is going to end badly. And then it does. So that I was fascinated by Bill Cosby's performance. Again, he's sort of moody. He's brooding. He has some physicality. Like there's this great moment where he's running. So that, I landed on liking it. But I have to say, I think I was more fascinated by it than I would say I liked it.
Yeah, see, I think it is fascinating because this is Robert Culp's first feature film directing. The only other thing he had directed was a documentary before this. And he wasn't the first choice for directing it. A matter of fact, Walter Hill wrote this with Jason Robards and Strother Martin in mind. Couldn't get them. Basically had to settle for Cosby and Culp.
Right, because they're not hot stars.
They're not hot stars at this time because the I-Spy has come and gone.
Yeah, absolutely.
And which when we talked about, where they were at this time, specifically Bill Cosby having I-Spy come and gone, at this point, I think at least one of his sitcoms is, it may have been the Bill Cosby Show, right. Come and gone.
Right, had that pulled
up. He was still a comedian, but as far as his mark in Hollywood, he's trying to find himself a little bit. He's trying to see where he can make a mark. He's got a friendship with Robert Culp. Robert Culp is able to talk them into letting him direct the film, because that's the only way he's going to star in the film. And thus you've got the two of them doing this film. And it's fascinating because
just point of clarification, the Bill Cosby Show has gone off.
Right. It ended.
Then the new Cosby Show comes on this year and then goes off immediately.
That's the variety show. The new Cosby Show. Because it only lasts like a couple of months, right? 72 to 73, I think, or something like that.
Right. Because COS is the variety show.
Oh, so that's the one that they've gone off.
No, the new Bill. So he had two variety shows.
He's trying to find it.
To your point.
He is trying to find a lane.
Absolutely.
Right? He's trying to, parlay whatever success he had on television, see if he can make that in movies. He's always got, at the end of the day, he can always go to the stage.
Right.
He's still a headlining comedian, wherever he goes, especially in Vegas. So he's got that going for him. Robert Culp, as an actor, after I-Spy, doing some bit roles here and there, doesn't really make it into the movies because Robert Culp, as much as we like Robert Culp, he again, talking about these $3 versions of people.
Yeah.
He's kind of like a $3, like what, Robert Stack or $3 name white guy.
I mean, I think he's a TV guy. Like I think
he
Robert
very
Culp
much is a TV guy.
Much a TV guy. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because Robert Stack was the Untouchables guy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So both of these guys are trying to find their lane. So they see this opportunity with Walter Hill, who is not Walter Hill at this moment. So, let's make this happen. And this is an opportunity to maybe change, perceptions of us in this darker film. And you put the word on it. It is fascinating. It's fascinating to see Robert Culp as an actor from a directorial point of view. Robert Culp as an actor is somebody who I enjoy ironically. I don't think he's a great actor, but I think he's someone who thinks he's a great actor.
Oh, that's interesting.
He has he's got a lot of William Shatner to me. Like and that when he acts, he's always trying to look busy, torquing his heads here and there, keeping his hands busy. And I thought it was very interesting from a directing point of view that a lot of this, we've talked about it before, a lot of first-time directors, a lot of close-ups, a lot of three-quarter shots, a lot of close-ups. And this movie is a lot of close-ups.
Yes.
And if you follow, especially a lot of the close-ups that he does of him, a lot of them start low and then work your way up so that you can see, he is somebody who always kind of acts with his body. Well, now he's directing. I've got an opportunity to show you what I've been doing all these years with my hands and my feet because my whole body is acting, baby. Now you can check it out. And that is on display in a lot of the singular scenes that he is in. There's one scene where we eventually learn, ending the night with a prostitute.
Yes.
But the whole scene starts at his shoes and then works his way up to his hands as he's fiddling it with the money and touches stuff around the room and then counting the money. It's all about seeing, the acting, the great acting that he is displaying, right? But
I like that scene now.
But to your point, it's well shot. The camera work is well done. And it's an interesting scene. The problem with it, as in a lot of this movie, and it's indicative of a first-time director, all these close-ups don't really give you any space. It doesn't set up a room. It doesn't set up a scene, and thus the mood, you have to interpret the mood or what you want the scene to tell you because it's not. Or the scene is literally telling you in the words, and not so much, not trusting the storytelling of everything coalescing. You talk about how this has the sheen and it looks like it's like one of those LA, procedurals of the time. That's because of the film stock that is using, and it is presented in kind of like that flat television type of perspective. But if you really think about it, there are very few scenes that actually set up LA. You only know you're in LA because sometimes you see LAPD on the close-ups of cop cars that are running around. So I kept feeling like this movie is not giving me a sense of place. Some of the scenes feel like really rushed or like they're choppy. There's a scene where Bill Cosby walks down to the beach and talks to he's interrogating some guy down there on the beach for absolutely no reason at all. That scene is intercut with 2 other scenes so that it's broken up into like 4 different bunches that none of the bunches are delivering any individual piece of information. It's all one scene delivering one piece of information that has just been cut into 4s for absolutely no reason. And I found that a little bit annoying, but I'm trying to give it a pass because it's his first time, it's whatever. Like you said, it's Walter Hill's first rodeo. So I'm trying to give that a pass. The biggest problem with this movie, though, is Bill Cosby and Robert Culp. They do have chemistry with one another. It makes sense. They worked together for so long. They're great friends. But I always got the sense that in this movie, they're trying so hard not to be charismatic that it just comes across as just dour for dour's sake. It doesn't feel like they're actually these weary detectives. It sounds like they're playing weary because I just don't feel. I don't believe them. I don't believe them. I get the sense, and it's honestly not because I'm looking for it, but I almost get the sense watching them. Every line reading, I'm waiting for the snide remark right after what they say. And you could almost see them biting their tongue not to say it in almost every scene. And that became like a little trying to me because I understand that it's not what they want to do, but you can still give us a little bit of it to infuse your character with some authenticity. Your character is just so one note. It just became like annoying. And they're horrible detectives. And I don't mean as far as like, they're weary. They're bad cops. Yeah. Like they just fall, they might as well be Clouseau. They fall ass backwards into clues. Right. Like the entire freaking movie.
Well, I think that was kind of what they were going for. Like again,
but see, you think that's what they're going for, but yet then there are scenes where they're in the middle of a shootout, and it's always happens in almost every shootout. The hero is being pinned down by gunfire. Yeah, and then you see the hero like hold the gun, they load up fresh bullets, and then they're going to take the aim and take the big shot. That happened 4 times in this movie.
Yeah, but they missed 3 times. Like I actually love the fact that they kept setting it up. Like this is the moment, and then they miss. And then the script actually, at one point Boggs says, I need a bigger gun because I can't seem to hit nothing.
That was annoying. One time I'll give you, 3 times, Vincent, and then the one time when he does hit something, it don't mean nothing. He don't hit what he just hits the window.
But see, I think that was deliberate. I mean, they kept saying...
No, it obviously was deliberate.
Right. None of this means anything. Like, I think they were trying to make it so bleak and so down.
It's trying too hard.
It is.
It's trying too hard.
It's funny because that little bit of snap that you're talking about, Walter Hill hits it 10 years later in 48 hours.
Oh, of course. And honestly, no, he hits it in 48 hours, but he hits it not long after this in The Getaway.
I was in the same year.
Right.
I was just about to say The Getaway is snappier.
Yeah, it just doesn't play. And you talk about like Robert Culp's fraught relationship with the girlfriend or ex-wife, and Bill Cosby's relationship with his ex-wife and all that. A lot of that is window dressing. I don't feel like you see it on display. It's kind of like just told to you. Well, I don't think it's well acted.
I think it is. Well, I like Bill Cosby and Rosalind Cash. Yeah, I like them together. I
don't think. Rosalind Cash is wasted in this movie.
Oh, well, I mean, Rosalind Cash is a woman in this movie. which is what I was
means
just about to say. Like every woman character in this film. But in a lot of ways, I think that
including the one that they're searching for. Does she even say a line in the movie?
Again, I think so many of these films, and I think this film is an example of it, where you have to, if like you have this, you have this challenge where these sort of hard men, these hard-boiled men, their real relationship is with each other. Yeah. Because we've seen things and we know about things and no one really understands me like my partner.
I get that.
But then you can't be gay. So we also have to establish that we are heterosexual men.
And not only that, we also have to establish that is us and not women bitches.
Right.
All women are bitches.
Well, there's this really, talking about this being more interesting than good. Like, I do think there's this fascinating sort of gendered, sort of sexualized reading to this, where you talked about the guy that Hickey initially interviews, who's on the beach looking at the kids,
which is a very weird scene.
Well, they are setting up that he is sexually deviant, and then when Hickey goes and talks to Boggs and he calls him Sweet Lips, which now he's implying he's gay, and he's very effeminate. And then at one point, Rosalind Cash's character actually says to Hickey, she refers to Boggs as a gay slur. So this kind of subtext that you see in a lot of these movies, where again we have to show that we're heterosexual men because the real relationship, the real emotional attachment is with this other man, is also part of the text. Like, it's not subtext anymore. Now it's actual text. But to your point, it's almost like we have to do this. Like, I gotta show this woman, otherwise people will get other ideas, but I'm not that invested in it. So we've got a femme fatale who never actually says anything, who ends up dead, spoiler. We've got
it ain't no spoiler.
Right.
Everybody dies in this movie.
You got a stripper girlfriend who never actually says anything except, go kill yourself.
Right.
And then, the one woman that I do think it's worth noting that the one actual complicated male-female relationship you see in here is between the two black people. And then, she does not end well.
No, she doesn't.
It really is.
Everybody dies.
Everybody
dies.
What's
this? Macbeth.
But again, I think the thing about Bill Cosby is that you have this performer who clearly people were invested in because they kept giving him bites of that. Like, how does he have 2 variety shows in 2 years on television?
Well, also you got to think about it. He is at this moment one of the leading black entertainers.
I know, but I do think when you look at what's actually on his filmography, part of this is chicken, part of this is egg. Like, he's one of the most successful black entertainers, so he has this sort of institutional support from Hollywood. But is he also he's gotten this institutional support from Hollywood, which makes him one of the most successful entertainers. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like once you get, we just said it, once you get past I-Spy, the Bill Cosby Show was a solid project.
Yeah, but it didn't last long.
I mean, the Bill Cosby Show with Chet Kincaid.
That's Chet Kincaid.
Right. The one
Would that run 2 years, 3 years, maybe?
So it was like, 69 to 71. 69 to 71. Years. But when you really look at Bill Cosby's television projects, there's nothing huge. I mean, maybe Fat Albert. Like
I was going to say, here's the thing about
he does the electric company and stuff. But it really is not until the Cosby Show.
It's not till the Cosby Show that he blows up.
But he keeps getting projects
because one, Fat Albert is an ongoing concern. It's not going to get him but so many projects, but it keeps his face out there.
Okay.
And two, he is in Vegas doing shows all the time. He's showing up on the Carson show. He's guest hosting actually on the Carson show a few times as well.
But that's more chicken egg stuff. I mean, obviously.
But I'm saying, that's why you still get the projects. That's why people still want to bank on you.
But what I'm saying is there were people similarly talented as Bill Cosby. Obviously, I don't think many people were as talented, but similarly talented. Like the guest hosting spot on the Tonight Show, frankly, was maybe half talent.
Of course.
But the other half was sponsorship. There are voices in the room. There are people at the table who bring up your name.
Yeah.
And I'm saying Bill Cosby was always one of those entertainers.
He is.
So that he kept getting all of these different types of bites. And then the fact that he is supremely talented. You can give him different bites.
The other thing you got to remember is around this time, he is the person that you can put, let's put it, call it what it is. They're feeling safe with him.
Well,
because because they took a chance on Fred Sanford, on Red Fox,
right.
And lo and behold, they've got a hit. So now they're stuck with Red.
Yeah, that's lightning in a bottle.
Right.
Yeah.
So they can't do anything with Red because they've got a huge hit. Richard Pryor is like he's setting torch, unfortunately, to his own career.
Right. He's never going to be on television. Like there's nothing about him that says he's going to be on television.
But even at the time when people maybe want to take a shot on him, his addiction is getting in his way.
Sure.
He becomes unbankable to a degree, except on himself.
Right.
So the only other performer really to try and maybe get some black eyes on him is Cosby.
I mean, is there anyone outside of the what's my man's name? Jefferson's Good Times, everything.
George Jefferson. Sherman Hemsley?
No, I'm talking about the creator.
Oh, Norman Lear.
Norman Lear. Is there any black entertainer that's not under the Norman Lear umbrella on television besides Bill Cosby during the 70s?
None that I can think of. Technically, I guess like what's happening is not under Norman Lear.
That's all intertwined.
It's all in kind of like the same sort of universe. But no, not really. You're right.
I mean, think about that. And again, they kept giving Bill Cosby shows.
Because he's the name.
Right. But my point is,
you couldn't force Sydney.
It's fascinating that he's got all this random bizarro stuff that's sort of out there. And for me, this very much fits into that. This sort of random bizarro Bill Cosby stuff that he's doing before. And as we talked about, his real saving grace quietly is he grows that beard. It makes Uptown Saturday Night. And
now he's got a little bit
now
of
he's got this little pocket.
Movie stroke.
Right.
Why we're off on other stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Why didn't they do anything with Flip Wilson? His show was one of the number one shows at the time.
I think look,
I mean, I do think
Honestly,
talent-wise, he's maybe not quite.
I was never that impressed with Flip Wilson, frankly,
Me neither.
And even the Flip Wilson show, I think he was right place, right time.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
Like he was right with the changing of the guard,
Mm-hmm.
and because he was black, you could kind of hedge your bets a little bit. Like Flip Wilson was like Sammy Davis Jr. without the talent, so that he was sort of part of the old guard, but you could kind of dress him up hip, kind of make him hip. So like you would have an episode that could have like Mahalia Jackson and like Sly and the Family Stone
on the Flip Wilson show.
Flip Wilson show. And like when you look at those episodes, you have those weird combinations. It'd be like Ray Charles and Joe Namath, and they'll be on the same show. And Flip Wilson just kind of
vacillated between the two.
He was almost like he was like a hip Ed Sullivan almost.
I think you're doing him a little injustice there.
When you think
Ed Sullivan was absolutely no talent.
No. I'm just talking about the dude who, again, I kind of hold it all together.
Maybe a way lower Johnny Carson.
I was about to say that. Maybe what you just said.
Yeah.
Almost a version of Johnny Carson.
A way lesser degree
when you
Johnny
take
Carson.
Flip Wilson out of that context, I don't know. And I honestly don't know. Like because I've never been that interested in Flip Wilson anything to even investigate Flip Wilson. Like as I'm sitting here talking, I'm not quite sure where Flip Wilson came from. Was he on Laugh-In?
I think he did. I think for some reason I do think he was in Laugh-In. I don't know. I don't know where he came from.
Because Here Comes the Judge.
That was Sammy Davis. But Flip Wilson did it at a time.
Pigmeat Markham, I think.
Right.
That's Pigmeat Markham. Like, was Flip Wilson on like where does Flip Wilson like what happens that leads to let's give Flip Wilson a variety show?
Well, he's a stand-up.
He was a lot of stand-ups.
Okay, but sometimes sometimes stand-ups, there are tons of stand-ups that get jobs. I mean, Jerry Seinfeld was a stand-up before he got a job.
No.
So
no, again, it's lots of stand-ups. Some of them get a tap, some of them don't get a tap. Like, we're talking about Flip Wilson, but now you said why didn't they do more with Flip Wilson than Bill Cosby? I think Bill Cosby was a combination of infinitely talented and sponsorship. So we're going to keep giving you a tap. Okay, you're going to have a variety show. Okay, you're going to have a dramedy. Okay, you're going to be in a romantic lead. You're going to be a romantic lead. Okay, you're going to be a comedian. Okay, you're going to be, do all this stuff until something sticks. You looking up Flip Wilson?
Yeah. An unexpected break came in 1965 for Flip Wilson, when comedian Red Fox was a guest on The Tonight Show, and Johnny Carson asked him who the funniest comedian at the time was, and Red Fox answered Flip Wilson. Johnny Carson then booked Flip Wilson to appear on The Tonight Show, and Wilson became a favorite guest on that as well as the Ed Sullivan Show. Wilson himself singled out Sullivan as providing his biggest career boost. He also made guest appearances on Here's Lucy, the Dean Martin Show, and Laugh-In. Richard Pryor told Flip that you're the only performer that I've ever seen who goes on the stage and the audience hopes that you like them. And he would release a Grammy Award-winning album in 1970, The Devil Made Me Buy This Dress, which did give way to him getting his own weekly variety series, The Flip Wilson Show, which ran from 1970 to 74.
Yeah.
So that's how he gets his start.
Yeah, but after that, I feel like he may have been one of those dudes also who stepped away. I feel like I remember something about him. He may have been I'm stepping away dude.
I don't see anything about that.
Because does he have anything between the Flip Wilson Show and Charles in Charge? I mean, not Charles in Charge. It's what is it? Charles and Company. What's his Cosby Show?
Well, after 74, he acted in Uptown Saturday Night.
Of course.
The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh.
Oh, I forgot he was in that.
He appeared as the fox in a television musical adaptation of Pinocchio.
Okay.
And then he made an appearance on The Love Boat.
Of course.
He hosted a revival of People Are Funny. And then in 1985-86, he does Charles and Company.
Yeah, Charles and Company.
Yeah, so I don't see anything about him stepping away.
Okay.
I don't see anything about him stepping away here.
Yeah. Flip Wilson.
Here we go. He was married twice. In 1957, he married Lavinia Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
They divorced in 1967. He had 4 children with his common law wife, Blonell Pittman, and after winning custody of them in 1979, he performed less in order to spend time with them.
Yeah, I thought there was something about him. But, regardless, Flip Wilson, Red Fox, Richard Pryor, like Bill Cosby is a tried and true brand. Like we can stick you in stuff.
Yeah.
And see what happens. And again, as I said, I am endlessly fascinated by Bill Cosby in this weird shit that you see. Like I said, something like this. He don't smile. He don't make no joke. He just sort of is brooding. And to your point, I do think maybe part of it was them trying so hard to separate themselves from the I-Spies slickness.
Yeah.
So
all the way down to their frumpiness.
Yeah.
So with that being said, would you recommend Hickey and Boggs?
I don't know if I would. I don't know what I would. And unless you're like me. And frankly, if you're like me, you go watch Man and Boy, which is the cowboy movie that he makes, which is also more interesting than good.
Then why watch that then?
Well, watch it, man. Just I guess maybe watch this then.
Why watch either?
Oh, because I do think it's
if you're not on the mission,
right? Well, I do think it is. Unfortunately, his legacy is what his legacy is because of his own actions. But you can't deny that the man is one of the most important and influential American performers of the late 20th century. Like you can't, that's just 100% true.
You can't deny that, and yet I don't think that means that you have to visit.
You don't necessarily
every piece of his work.
True,
including Hickey and Boggs. I could not recommend this movie.
Okay.
At all. Like you said, there are LA procedurals, which will give you pretty much a lot of the same vibe. If you want to see some, down and dirty, gritty type of, action, revenge type of thing. This is 1972. Wait, ladies and gentlemen, it's coming your way with Fred Williamson in almost every one of his movies. So,
what year is The Split?
The Split is actually before this.
Oh, okay.
The Split is like late 60s, like 68, 69.
Yeah.
And do not compare this to The Split.
I mean, I'm thinking gritty LA.
Yeah, but the Split is not really gritty. The Split is slick.
Yeah.
The Split is slick caper film.
Right.
Don't you dare.
I'm thinking about the kind of movie that like Quentin Tarantino in 1983 was in his video store watching.
He wasn't watching Hickey and Boggs.
You know what? I would bet you $1 American Quentin Tarantino has a very informed opinion of Hickey and Boggs.
You can have an informed opinion. That doesn't mean he's got it on rotation in the video store.
No. He definitely had it on rotation.
Hickey and Boggs? No.
Quietly, when you look up the criticism of this, it's a bit of a cult favorite.
Well, okay.
Like there's a vein of hipster movie guy who likes this.
Yeah.
So, Quentin Tarantino as the patron saint of hipster
movie guys. Okay, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
You fool around, this will be at the Austin
what? What's that? It's Southwest.
Yeah.
No.
So
anyway, I cannot recommend. I can not recommend Hickey and Boggs. Stay away, ladies and gentlemen. Stay far away from this movie.
It's not that real.
Because it's a downer.
No, it is a downer.
It's a downer.
It's
why
bleak.
Do it to yourself, man?
It's pretty bleak.
It's bleak. It is bleak as hell.
It's pretty bleak. It does end with a bunch of dead bodies, fire, and Bill Cosby saying nothing matters at all.
And then he walks off into the sunset.
He walks off on the beach with Robert Culp. Stuff is on fire. It's dead bodies everywhere.
Dead bodies and people burning.
It's a suitcase with $400,000 that no one can do anything with. He says, all that and the police didn't even come. And they're all because no one cares. And it's like, because nothing matters. It's pretty bleak.
Don't waste your time, ladies and gentlemen.
I actually changed my mind. I like it.
You can like it, but you're not recommending it.
I am recommending it. I've changed my mind. I recommend it.
Please don't.
It's bleak.
Don't.
It is.
Don't do that to the missionary. Missionaries, if you never listened to me before, listen to me now. I beseech you. Stay away from Hickey and Boggs. Go see Nuns That Bite. Stay away from Hickey and Boggs.
Oh, boy. He went to lunch with Rosalind Cash and she made him smile. I said, oh, well, there you go. I think I'll turn it off because clearly they're going to live happily ever after.
Yeah, as soon as she says, I'll be waiting for you when you get home.
Isabel Sanford shows up and calls him a son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. I knew you weren't worth anything when you showed up. It's like, wow, Isabel Sanford, this is all you're here for? To yell at him?
And why is he sitting there while his daughter is mowing the lawn?
Because they're in mourning. And they're in shock.
So she's mowing the lawn?
As one does.
As he's just sitting there?
He's just sitting there, and Isabel Sanford just busts out the house. And why are you here, you son of a bitch?
And then when the daughter starts to cry, that's when he notices, oh, baby.
It is bleak.
Stay away. Please, stay away.